I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of Best 5 Worst 5, where we dive into the great and terrible in Star Trek topics.
Yeah, it's the best five, worst five, no one has seen. Yeah, it's the best five, worst five Trek's ever seen.
We're starting with outfits, not uniforms. Those will be a topic of their own down the road. But the civilian fashions that have been shown across some 50 years of Trek. Star Trek, particularly through the Gene Roddenberry years, showed us, let's say, some questionable uses of cloth to cover body parts. It's also a time capsule of how the past viewed the future. Coming in at 5th worst, diamond pattern skirts. I guess people so dumb that they don't know they're inside an asteroid for generations can't be blamed for their fashions of choice. In an episode with more title than fashion sense, the males of Star Trek don't get us off to a good start here. This pattern on dudes that look like they have full diapers neither looks flattering nor practical. And the hats! Have you seen the hats? It's weird circles that from behind make them look like roosters. This is a look at Season 3's lack of budget in action. Number 4. Children of the Candy Corn. If you're into candy corn colored corsets, I've got a timepiece to sell you. Horizontal, broad, oversaturated colors really don't work on anyone. In Voyager's Time and Again, even though it looks like a bunch of failed Starfleet color tops, with random pieces of fabric sewn into a corset to try and make it work, these people were dumb enough to run a power source that could kill everyone under their streets. So I guess their wardrobe choices are the least of this species' problems. The positive is a unisex design across gender. Number 3. Derpy Crayons. Have you ever pulled a broken, half-sharpened crayon out of a random bucket? And then you added a sash that becomes half an overall pantlet that lacks all utility. Later in TOS's A Taste of Armageddon, we see some nice sharpened black and gold tip crayons to laugh at. Yet again, for a species dumb enough to practice video game warfare and report to kill chambers because a casualty program tells them they're wiped out, this is the least of these people's worries. Thoroughly unflattering and uncomfortable. Number 2. Pony statues. In the TOS episode Friday's Child, the costume department used some scraps up at the 11th hour to give us weird ornamentation across chest lines, with Nordic ponytails that stand like statues for multiple full minutes of the runtime of this episode. Their stance reminds me of the rigidity of Dan Aykroyd in the Coneheads movie. Kind of satisfying to watch a completely not possible rock slide caused by a communicator bury these Nordic fur pony statues. Before we reveal the worst outfit in the Trek franchise, let's take a look at some dishonorable mentions. From TNG's Season 1, We'll Always Have Paris, this curtain-turned dress put on backwards with an awkward side cutout has never looked right to me. TOS's Wink of an Eye features a garment whose pattern I like, but lacks any real utility on the right side of your body. The final least honorable mention goes to this pair of leisure suit Larrys from Enterprise's 2 Days and 2 Nights. You deserve to get mugged wearing bad suits that are almost 200 years out of date. There's also this and this baked potato. And the worst outfit in all of Trek. Cat's Paw Clown Karen. If you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you'll know that Cat's Paw is one of my personal least favorite episodes of Trek as a whole. And one outfit that only takes up a few seconds of runtime conveys all of my absolute sadness for some of the worst styles of the 60s. How you come out of this really solid dress into this exploding color palette one piece with a wig that wouldn't become popular again till the 90s and early 2000s? Since this is presumably what this magical being knows Kirk wants, is it possible she's exposing James T. Kirk's deep-seated kink for 60 Spice Girl clowns that are secretly shadow cats? Now on to the best outfits of Trek. At number 5, the Belle Beauty. I can't immediately ignore the fact that the very suggestive fabric piece is highlighting this woman's curvy figure, and Kirk likes it. And if I'm totally honest, I do too. It's really distracting, but awesome. It's suggestive without being too obviously revealing. The sheer layer that is full bell sleeve and bell bottom gives a bit of class to the outfit. The bell style seems a bit ahead of its time. This is a very flattering and mostly practical piece to kick off the best 5. Number 4. Bodice Reeker. In the classiest, most gentlemanly way during the TNG episode True Q, Commander Riker gets pulled into a Judith McNaught-style Q fantasy, with a young Q initiate while being forced to play out her fantasies. The debonair first officer displays his masculinity only on command through the use of the straightest, tallest top hat short of Abe Lincoln. When it comes to his character, Jonathan Frakes usually adorns a wide shoulder stance, but in this, his shoulders are actually at more of an angle than Baby Q's square shoulders, subconsciously signaling that she is dominant in this fantasy. It's all tied together by this multicolored pattern that flares off his chest in this pastime equals good fantasy romance version of the beloved Riker. Number 3. Swimsuit competition. And the winner of the Trek swimsuit competition? Vash. In the episode Captain's Holiday, we get to truly see this swimsuit a total of 6 seconds of screen time over 3 different scenes. But this diamond-cut naval one-piece is striking. Picard not making sweet Jamaharon to a swimsuit body like that more immediately is absurd. It's suggestive without being crazy obvious. The opaque cover-up that leaves us wanting more in the scenes that we do see her with it in tells the real story of this beautiful 6 seconds of screen time. In the second best slot in all of Trek, we have the Queen of Diamonds. In the second episode of TNG, we get a taste of what Denise Crosby would have been like if she'd been cast in the role she originally auditioned for in Troy. Much like the diamond pattern in the swimsuit entry to the list, it really helps sell this flattering piece of fabric that shows just a smidge of underboob. Considering how little we get to see of Tasha Yar in the short time she's on the series, this is a nice addition to her closet. Before we go on, let's have a look at some of the best honorable mentions. The Loxana Troy collection worn by the fabulous Majel Barrett Roddenberry very nearly made the list, till I realized there's enough great and terrible pieces to do a video on this topic in the future. For one of the worst episodes in all of Trek, Spock's brain gave us this interesting view of the 60s. We got the fuzzy orange lady from A Private Little War, and her make-believe cousins from Shore Leave. The every woman's fantasy man, Michael Sullivan, and his optional deletable wife came very close to joining Riker as another male in the top 5. But let's be honest, it's more the meat that's in the shirt than the clothes on this one. The Sky Mermaid from the Cloudminders came close to joining Tasha Yar and Vash with the cutout midsections on the list. This often imitated piece from That Which Survives was also a serious contender, taking the title for Best Outfits in Star Trek. The Elan of Troyes collection. This symmetrical Cleopatra arrives as a best wardrobe collection in the entire Trek franchise. In a show where you were lucky to get handed an outfit that's not made of discount curtain material, the Dolom of Elas gets multiple beautiful and flattering Super Bowl halftime level clothing changes through the run of this TOS episode. Every one is a stunner. From the matching armpit-length gloves she beams in with, to the dress whose side profile leaves little to the imagination by the end, her entire wardrobe is a sight to behold. What are some of your favorite outfits in the run of the Star Trek franchise?